Alright, UFC 293 is this weekend, and although I think a lot of us are disappointed on how the main card shaped up, the main event is definitely one to be excited for, as well as the press conference, because the press conference is going to be insane. That is just a couple days away. I think that probably has more hype than the actual fight. But more importantly, we have the fight this week, and a lot of people are wondering, does Sean Strickland even have a chance? Is Adesanya just going to walk through him and KO him, kind of like how Alex Pereira did? There's a lot of big questions about the fight, but I think there isn't a question on who do I think is going to win. We're going to get into that in a second, but I just want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. We're trying to hit 20K by the end of the year. And yeah, if you guys are missing it, I'm doing YouTube shorts now, which are basically, you know, kind of like, I guess, like a YouTube TikTok version, sort of, whatever. You guys will see them pop up on your For You page, or, you know, on your, recommended, wherever you guys want. And I cover exclusive things on there. Like, I covered my reaction in UFC Paris on there, just because I didn't think I should have made a whole video on that. But I reviewed some of my thoughts on there. I also gave my predictions for UFC Paris on the shorts, so guys, check them out. There's also another one coming out today. I think it's about UFC 5, the game, so make sure you check it out. I'm going to be uploading a lot of exclusive shorts, so you guys check it out. Those are for like smaller content that I can't really make a whole video about, whether it's because of views, because of runtime, whatever it is. There it is. I'm going to put it in there just so I can cover way more topics than I ever could before, so just pay attention to the shorts, or you can just go on my YouTube channel, look at the shorts page, and then they'll start, coming into your feed. But so if you see my face in those shorts, make sure you click it. But let's talk about the actual fight. So Israel Adesanya, we obviously know, was supposed to fight Dricus du Plessis knocking out Robert Whittaker, which I still cannot believe happened. Like, there is no way that actually did happen, but it did happen. Dricus had a beautiful performance, and we are hoping that he could make that short turnaround. He wasn't, because it was really a big short turnaround, right? Dricus, I believe, fought July 8th it was, and the pay-per-view is September 9th, so just about 2 months away. No surprise there. There's obviously going to be injuries from the training camp, from the fight, so you can't really expect to have, run into another training camp for a 5-round fight, for a championship level fight against, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters out right now. You can't do that in that short of a period of time, right? You at least need, 4 months, like, at least double that time. I feel like a month off, maybe a month to chill, recover on your injuries, and then get back into training. And that is still a pretty quick turnaround. Like, ideally, you'd probably want even more time than that. So that fight isn't happening, but we have the next best thing, Sean Strickland, who is coming off of a win against Magomedov. That was the main event for, I believe, that July 1st card, and he called out Israel Adesanya, right? There was no surprise there. He knocked him out in the second round, really wore down Magomedov and got the finish. And this is kind of a late replacement sort of matchup. Like, Sean Strickland really probably wouldn't have gotten the title shot any other way. The UFC tried to even avoid this possibility, even with Dricus pulling out, right? Because they were afraid that Sean Strickland was going to say some controversial things on a big stage like the press conference. A lot of people are going to be watching this, and if Sean Strickland says some real controversial stuff, who knows? This could get, national headlines, you know what I mean? Like, this could be a recipe for disaster, but we're gonna have to find out. While Israel Adesanya is coming off of one of the best performances of his career by finally beating his rival Alex Pereira after losing to him twice in kickboxing and once in MMA last year. And yeah, he knocked out Alex Pereira in pretty impressive fashion. It was definitely one of the bigger highlights of his career so far. And he's looking to gain even more momentum with this win, because you can get a knockout in this fight, right? Because Israel Adesanya is a really good kickboxer. What does Israel Adesanya have to do? What does Sean Strickland have to do? We're going to get into it now. Look, I think most of us already know, so I'm not going to joke around or pretend there's some sort of suspense about my prediction. I'm going to be picking Israel Adesanya. Now, Adesanya to me is just a longer striker. He's powerful. He's active. I mean, the dude is a master at range. He has so many weapons. Sean Strickland is pretty much a plain boxer that pops forward. I mean, people have said that he somewhat has a ground game. I mean, we just haven't really seen it in the UFC. But just judging off, he's normally just a boxer that kind of goes forward. And Israel Adesanya, I think, is going to do fairly well against that style, especially a guy that's so heavy on the lead leg like Sean Strickland. I think that leg is going to get chopped up. But does Sean Strickland have a chance? Now, listen, I think that there is a slight chance. I think it's a little bit of a very slim chance, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's likely at all. But Sean Strickland is a good fighter, right? And I think that he is difficult for a lot of guys because he's so unorthodox, right? Like, when you look at the guy fight, I've always said this, right? That he doesn't look good, right? He kind of looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Looks like his technique's out of form. He looks like he shouldn't be fighting in that style for MMA, but he just makes it work, right? And honestly, it's because of his defense. His defense is underrated, and honestly, some of the best in the middleweight division, to be honest. The guy is extremely hard to hit, and he just moves out of the way because of that sparring that he does, right? He's constantly sparring, so he's constantly getting used to, looking at shots coming at him and, moving out of the way of them. He's used to it. Those are just becoming more and more instincts for him, and I think that is definitely where his strong suit is his instinct. Now, I think similarly, I think Adesanya also has some pretty underrated defense. His head movement is really good, especially for a taller guy that likes, stay behind a jab and a leg kick, and a guy that likes to stay at long range. Like, the guy could also swing well in the pocket, could fight very well there, has power. We saw with Paulo Costa, right? He landed that left hook inside the pocket, as well as Robert Whittaker. He also landed another left hook inside the pocket when Robert Whittaker was blitzing him. To me, I think Adesanya has a lot of power. He's a very safe fighter, so that's why I think he gets a lot of decisions, but I think if he went in there to brawl, I think he can get some knockouts. knockouts, actually. So I think it's actually really impressive that he does stay behind the jab, even with all that power. I mean, we see this all the time, right? With Paulo Costa, right? He had a war with Yoel Romero, getting dropped, you know, and he survived all 3 rounds and won the fight. Israel Adesanya was, you know, leg kicking him, and he really landed that big left hook, and it took out Paulo Costa, right? Just vicious ground and pound. Robert Whittaker is another guy, went to war with Yoel Romero, and then gets KO'd by Israel Adesanya. And now, obviously, Robert Whittaker since then has been KO'd from Dricus du Plessis, but before that, it was really just Adesanya that really finished him in the middleweight division. And honestly, Adesanya was really the only guy to beat him in the middleweight division, let alone even just finish him. And it just shows that Adesanya's power is there, right? And I think it's because of the slickness of his shots, the way that he's able to set it up in the pocket. He's a very smart fighter, you know, he's not just throwing things, throwing haymakers, you know, going at you. It's a very subtle, very well set up. Even the Alex Pereira KO, right? That was a shot that he caught Alex Pereira with in the previous fight. He brought it back and said, hey man, the only way I'm going to beat this guy is if I have to sit down on my punches and get a KO, right? That is what it seemed to be, because I think technically who's better? I think Pereira is better. We saw Pereira was getting the better of their exchanges in that second fight. It even looked like he was on his way to finishing Adesanya when he got KO'd, right? Like with the knee to the body, with the left hook, he was really going off on Adesanya and got careless. Then he got caught, right? Because Alex Pereira kind of fights with his hands kind of low, so it's kind of tough for him in the pocket. And that's where Israel Adesanya really capitalized, and I think that's what really won him the fight. I think the fact that he was able to commit, right? And normally you don't see that from Adesanya. Like I said, he's normally very safe. Saw in the Jared Cannonier fight, the Marvin Vettori fight, right? He's a jab, leg kick, repeat, get 50-45 decision, and don't put yourself in much danger. And to a certain extent, you want to do that, but also it is good to sometimes take risks if you want your career to be as big as you want it to. And if you want to be that big star, right, you're going to have to take risks and have to take big chances, because people want knockouts. But regardless, that doesn't affect how good Israel Adesanya is. He is very good. And to me, I'm curious to see what is his attitude going into the Sean Strickland fight. Is it going to be, hey, let me go jab and leg kick, or is it going to be, hey, let me go commit to shots since I KO'd Alex Pereira? You know, getting a KO like that is a big deal and probably a huge ego boost for Israel Adesanya now that everybody is praising him, now that the highlight is getting played everywhere. Will he be addicted to that, you know, feeling? Does he want more KOs on his resume? That's what I'm most curious about Israel Adesanya going into this matchup. I talked about it in a previous video, and some of you guys disagreed with me, but I am curious to see, will Adesanya kind of go for that KO against Sean Strickland, because Sean Strickland can be there to be knocked out. To me, though, in terms of the prediction, I think if Sean Strickland is going to win this fight, he's going to have to win a decision. I don't see him catching Adesanya and KOing him. Maybe he catches Adesanya in a weird fashion, but I think 9 times out of 10, that's not even happening. Honestly, I think 99 out of 100 times that doesn't happen. I think, honestly, you could even make it even a less of a percent of a chance for that to happen. But if it happens, maybe Sean Strickland pours on the volume and then he gets a standing TKO, but no way he catches Adesanya and KOs him. So the one-punch knockout power that maybe Cannonier had against Adesanya when everyone was downing him, that factor is no longer there. So to me, I think he's going to have to be technically better in the striking department against Israel Adesanya, or of course he can grapple if he gets a takedown and maybe he catches him in a submission. That's also possible. However, I think Adesanya has very good takedown defense. We've seen it in the past with Robert Whittaker and with other guys. I saw the UFC put up a stat that he's gotten taken down, I believe, 12 times in the last 6 fights he's had, which that includes Jan Blachowicz, who did take him down quite a lot, and Robert Whittaker got some takedowns on him. I would assume that most of them did the heavy lifting, but it is good to get some takedowns, right? And we saw Alex Pereira get a takedown, so it is possible for Sean Strickland to catch him off guard maybe. However, I think he's going to have to really defend those strikes of Israel Adesanya, and that's why I think this fight might actually be closer than some people think. However, I think Israel Adesanya is just going to leg kick him, jab, tag Sean Strickland, and maybe he can get a late knockout. But my prediction here, I think Israel Adesanya is going to get a decision. I think we're going to see Sean Strickland defend a lot of the strikes and do better than some people are thinking. Like, I think he might have some hype moments where maybe he throws a flurry at Adesanya, but I think most of all we're going to see Adesanya being the master at range he is, throwing that jab, keeping Sean Strickland on the back foot or in the center or whatever. I think Sean Strickland has to pressure Adesanya, get him going backwards, shoot for takedowns, get Adesanya guessing. When you have a guy, whether it be Cyril Gane or whether you have, you know, Conor McGregor or Israel Adesanya, who is so good in that like free flow state that is in the center, that, you know, has so many weapons in their arsenal that will just catch you by surprise. What you want to do is make them think about what you're doing instead of what they can be doing, right? And that's somewhere you're going to be Adesanya. You got to push him backwards, shoot for takedowns, throw flurries, throw shots to the body, throw kicks. Mix up your weapons for this fight. Do what Adesanya does to other people, but do it to him, and set up a lot of crazy shots. Feint. Get him going backwards. Adesanya is at his best when he's making up shots, and Adesanya is very good instinctually. Like, even the Pereira fight, right? Even when he got that knockout, Pereira was doing all that. Pereira was throwing a lot of shots at him, and realistically, Adesanya shouldn't have been thinking about, hey, how can I KO this guy? But he did, and that just shows how talented Israel Adesanya really is. So whatever you think about him, you have to give him your props there. So my prediction is Israel Adesanya by decision. I think we're going to see Sean Strickland have some decent moments here and there, but overall, I think it's going to be 50-45 Israel Adesanya. But I'm more excited about who's going to win the press conference, because that'll be a lot more competitive. Guys, thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section section below who is going to win, Sean Strickland or Israel Adesanya, and how. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see this week. You guys are the best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.